here, and today we are going to be making some potato scones. Now this was quite an easy recipe I could find with not many ingredients, but it's well and truly Scottish, so I thought it would get us into the Burns and Scotland mood this week. So I've got my tartans on, and first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my hair is up, I'm going to make sure that my hands are washed, and then I will get started. But first things first, let me go and get ready and then I'll be back to you. Okay, so I am back. I have my hair up. This is really important because you don't want any strands of hair to end up in your food. That's not very nice for anyone. My hands are washed and I've also had a chance to weigh out all the different ingredients that I've got. So what I've got here is I have 100 grams of self-raising flour. I can tip it slightly so you'll see without me dropping it everywhere. I have 50 grams of butter. I have half a teaspoon of just normal table salt, and it's 450 grams of potatoes. Now, I have already measured these and I've weighed them out, and it works out as about 3 medium-sized potatoes. So these are normal Maris Piper potatoes, and it's about 3 medium-sized. Now I say medium-sized, it's the size of the palm of my hand, and I've probably got an average adult-sized hand. Okay, I have moved everything else away just now, because the first things that we are going to need to do is to peel and chop our potatoes. Now, I have got this kind of peeler. Now, there are lots of different peelers that are out there. This one I find easiest and I find it the safest one to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I would peel and chop one potato, and then I'm going to speed up the video a bit so you don't need to sit and just watch me peeling the rest of the potatoes and getting them ready. So I'm going to show you how to peel and chop the potatoes. So what I do is I keep my fingers as far away from where the peeler is as possible, and I'm going to peel away. So I'm going to peel right the way down, and then I move the potato again. Make sure your fingers are right out the way. I'm peeling it right down. I'm peeling it onto the board, so there's no way that my fingers are anywhere near the peeler. Some people start peeling like this. Now this is quite dangerous if your fingers then get in there. I'm not going to show you that. Some people do peel like this, but it does mean that it's quite easy to catch your fingers and people can get hurt. So although it might take a little while longer, when you're learning, I want you to hold the potato flat to the board. Oh, being very careful that it doesn't move, holding it nice and tight, and you're going to peel down. Now, if you are just using pre-mashed or leftover mashed potatoes, you obviously won't need to do this bit because your mash will already be there. So all you would need to do there is to measure out 450 grams of your mashed potato and make sure it's there. So peeling away from your fingers and making sure your potato is nice and secure on your chopping board until you get all the bits of peel off. There we go. So that's one of my potatoes already ready. So I'm just going to move the peel just to the side, and I'm going to show you how I would cut my potato. Now, I would do, so what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see that properly, is I make this shape with my hand, so it's like a bridge, right? And then I'm going to put that right in so that my potato is like that. Then I'm going to put the knife in the middle, and I'm just going to push it right down to the board. Now, the reason I do that is because that keeps my fingers as far away from the sharp knife as possible. So I have cut this in half, So I now have 2 halves. I'm going to do the same again. So see how I'm going to put the knife down while I show you. See how sharp this knife is? You've got to be very careful. So I'm making a bridge here and I'm holding it tight to the board. Then I put the knife right in the middle and down. And that's it cut in. So I've already cut it into halves. When I cut it into halves again, that will make quarters. So let's do it with this potato again, in the middle and down. And that is my first potato cut up. Now, I'm gonna quickly speed through and speed up the camera so that you don't have to watch me doing all 3. And then we'll get on to the next step. Take your time when you're doing this bit and please ask for help from an adult and make sure that someone is with you, even if they're just watching you while you do this step, to make it nice and safe. Okay, here I go with the rest of them. All my potatoes are now peeled and cut in half again, meaning that they are now all cut into quarters. Now I will no longer need my knife or my peeler. That's then done for the rest of our recipe. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up my pot with cold water. Then I'm going to put my potatoes in them, into the pot with the cold water, and then I'm going to put the water on to boil. Now it'll take a little while for the water to get up and to start boiling. Again, I am going to record this like I did in the last time, which it was all sped up. That way that it's not going to take that long on your video, because it does take a little while. Now this usually takes about 20 minutes, depending on how big your potatoes are cooked. And that's once the water is boiling, so you've got to wait for the water to boil first. You will know the water's boiling because it would really bubble. So it'll have big chunky bubbles. It'll do little bubbles to start with, but they're tiny little, and then all of a sudden you'll see it start to bubble on the top, and that's when you know it's boiling. And from that point on, it should take about 20 minutes for your potatoes to cook. So that's the stage that I'm going to do just now. And I'm going to do that fast recording so that you don't get bored watching. Okie doke. So I'll see you once my potatoes are all cooked and we're ready for the next stage. Okay, so I'm back now. I have got my nice drained fluffy potatoes. There's no water left in it. I drained it in my colander and I've left it for a few minutes so the pot's not hot anymore. It's still warm because the potatoes inside it are still warm, but it's not hot. I can touch it without getting burnt, and that's the really important thing here, because you are going to need to keep your pot nice and secure when we're doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 50 grams of butter, which you'll remember that I measured out earlier on, they've been sitting here waiting, and I'm going to add that to my potatoes. And then, oh, I like this bit. This is when the mashing comes in. So I'm going to get my potato masher and I'm just going to mash my potatoes down. And this might take a little while because you want to make sure that it's nice and smooth and you don't have any big lumps of potato in it. But actually, my potatoes were nice and soft from boiling, so my potatoes are nice and smooth already. And now I'm going to add the salt as well. So this is just half a teaspoon of salt. We don't need a lot of salt in our diet. It's not very good for us to have too much salt in our diet, but just half a teaspoon gives it just a nice little bit of flavour to add in. Lovely. So my potato is all mashed up now. And now I'm going to add in a little bit by little bit of the flour. Now I'm not going to put it in all at the same time because then it can be quite difficult to work in, but I'm just going to put a little bit in and then stir it, and then a little bit more until I've got no more left in the tub. And what I'd say is that you're looking for a texture that's a little bit like Play-Doh at the end, and you'll understand why once we've gone through it. So just a little bit of flour, and then I'm going to just stir that all in. It seems very funny putting potato and flour them together, but I promise it's delicious once it's all done. So it's getting a bit thicker in together. So I'm just going to add another little bit of flour. There we go. Last little bit of flour in. Oh, it's getting really thick now, so it's really like a Play-Doh that we can work with. Now I'm just feeling it. Now remember, I've been washing my hands throughout, so I'm just feeling it just to make sure it's not too hot, because the next part is going to be rolling it out, but we don't want to roll it out if it's too hot because then it'll burn our fingers, but this is actually okay. So I'm going to wash up these things and come back in a minute ready to roll out my potato scones. It's the exciting bit coming up. Okay, I am back. I have cleared away all the things, wiped down the work surface again to make sure that this bit's really clear, because I am going to be making my scones, or the potato scones, on this surface now. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to get my flour back out, and I'm just going to flour the work surface and my rolling pin just so that nothing gets stuck. So just a little bit of flour all over the work surface, and a little bit just on my rolling pin. Now, like I said, you don't have to have a rolling pin for this. You can do it with your hands if you want to get your hands dirty. You could do it with anything that's really that soft surface. I'm just using the rolling pin just now. So I'm going to take out my dough. Now, this is what I mean by the dough being a little bit like Play-Doh. Probably a bit stickier than Play-Doh, but very much like Play-Doh. I'm going to get all this onto my hands here. Now, you might have noticed throughout the video, I also have little towels at the side, and that is just for me to wipe my hands at moments like this so that I don't end up too sticky with the dough. So here's my dough out, and what I am going to do is once it's rolled and once my scones are cut out, I'm going to put them onto this tray. So I might put a little bit more flour onto my chopping board just so they don't get stuck on there either. So here we go. Now you're wanting to roll them so that's about 1 centimetre thick. So this is another time that you're going to be able to be practicing your measurement. So you've already practiced your measurement through getting all the ingredients ready, and now you're practicing your measurement from looking until it's about 1 centimetre thick. And I'd say this is probably about 1 centimetre thick now. So traditionally, again, what you would do is you would cut these into triangles, and then that would make your potato scone. That's what I'm going to do, but feel free, if you have a cookie cutter or a biscuit shaper, or you want to just cut things out by hand, or maybe you want to do it in your initials, you do that, because it's your recipe and your dough, and you can do whatever you choose at this point. So let me just I'm using these oven gloves, as you may have noticed in that time lapse. I kept on putting the ones that I'd already fried off into the oven to keep them nice and hot. So these look absolutely delicious. What I will say is that you can actually make them different thicknesses. So the 1 centimetre ones give you a nice like fluffy, you get quite a lot of potato in it. But if you're like me and you like them a little bit crispier, you can roll them a little bit thinner. So again, you might have seen me just patting out with my hands, and then you get a nice crispy one. So it's the crispy one that I am actually going to take, and I am going to try. I don't do this one. It's like a nice savoury pancake. And like I say, you can fry these off, make them nice and crispy. You can leave them being a little bit softer if you prefer. You can use these instead of bread when you're dipping things in soup. You can just put them in a roll with a bit of brown sauce, maybe a sausage in there, maybe a bit of haggis since we've just had burns. Loads of different ways to do it, but I hope you enjoyed that. It was a really nice, easy recipe to do that everyone can do together. So thanks very much, guys, and I will see you next time.